What's going on? What's going on? What is going on, everybody? Good morning. Good morning. What's going on? Wednesday, March 11th, 8 a.m. on the dot. Appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for being a part of the show. Lakers got a little momentum going here. What's going on with the Lakers? What's going on with the Lake Show? They're starting to beat some good teams. Back-to-back impressive wins for the Lakers. Obviously, impressive couple of days for the Lake Show. Beating the New York Knicks, taking down the Minnesota Timberwolves yesterday. And we'll see what the Lakers got next. They got a couple of games left this week. Chance to do a little bit more damage, some home cooking, then they'll go on the road. Got a packed show today. A lot of good topics that I'm looking forward to discussing with everybody. I'm sure a lot of comments from everybody as well that will have a part of the show. So looking forward to break everything down. Cheers to you, whatever you're drinking on this fine morning. Got some diesel fuel this morning. Diesel fuel. Just ready to go. All right, let me give everyone a quick rundown what we're going to do for the show this morning. Right after I'm done with that, we'll take a look at some of the comments. Right after we're done with some of the comments, we'll get started with the show. Do me a favor if you don't mind. Today, we're just using my good old platforms, YouTube and Twitter. If you're on Twitter, thank you for being here, watching the live stream. Get in the chat as well, Twitter. X. Get in the chat. And then, of course, on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. Would greatly appreciate that. We're trying to close in on 35,000 subscribers. We can't do it without you. And thank you, everybody, for being a subscriber if you already are a subscriber. Okay, let's get a little bit of a rundown here, what we're going to do in the show today. Of course, we're going to go back to last night's game, another impressive win. How the Lakers get here, what all of a sudden is working, how come all of a sudden the Lakers have a really, really good defensive team? The hell happened there? How come they could all of a sudden get some stops? It's been fun to watch the Lakers these last couple of games, and it's been fun because it's actually been good basketball. You know, I've said this to you guys before. I love basketball. I love the NBA, love basketball. But, man, if the product is not good, then what are we doing? And I think for the Lakers, these last couple of games, it's as good of a product as they've put together. Ayton, very, very impactful yesterday. This is kind of what comes with Deandre Ayton. It's part of the reason why people get very, very frustrated with Deandre Ayton is because he's got the capability of doing some of the stuff that he was doing yesterday, and he doesn't typically do it. So we'll talk about Deandre Ayton. I still think this man still has some time to change part of his narrative. So we're going to see if he's obviously able to do that. But nice game for Deandre Ayton yesterday. I got a clip from Luka that talked about Ayton in the post-game show. Well, I'll play that as well. I know there'll continue to be a conversation about the Lakers trio. And, you know, what do you do with LeBron James? And I'm down to answer all of those questions for you guys today. At least just give my opinion on it. Everybody else can give theirs. I think for me, the biggest thing is how do you make the trio work the rest of the season? Not, you know, cut LeBron. LeBron's got to go. He's not going anywhere. Okay? How do we make it work? What do the Lakers have to do to make it work? Because you do want LeBron James in a playoff series, and you do want LeBron James the rest of the way. You want to have as many assets and weapons as you possibly can, but I'm completely down to have the conversation. Well, how do you do that? What does that do to Austin Reaves? How can LeBron take more of a back seat? I think all those are going to be worth the conversation. Lakers now 10-2 when it's Luka and AR playing together without LeBron James. Austin Reaves, every single game over this last maybe 2 weeks or so, you're seeing a little bit more of an impact from him, and that will kind of tie into the conversation of making the trio work. We'll do that. Bam Adebayo passes Kobe Bryant for the second most points in NBA history by dropping 83 points. And I think since it happened, it has caused more controversy than praise. They announced it yesterday at the Lakers game. I was not at the Lakers game yesterday, but I saw it on X, or I saw it on some social platforms. They made the announcement that Bam Adebayo is now second highest scoring point total in the history of the NBA. Whole crowd booed him. I see all these articles today. Everybody's basically like, this guy fugazi'd it. I'll give you guys my thoughts on that. So we'll certainly have an opinion to talk about. There's some really, really impressive things that Bam Adebayo did yesterday that you can't ignore. And then obviously the last couple of minutes, it was like, guys, what's happening here? What's happening? What are we doing here to get this guy to 83? We'll hit on that as well. Got a couple things around the NBA. We'll look at some scores for tonight, some scores from last night, and we'll call it a day. Appreciate you guys being here. Please subscribe to the channel. Take a look at some of the comments here, and then we'll get started. All right, let's see what we have here. Lakers in the finals. Book it. Okay, I just booked it. I just booked. I got booked a trip on Delta. I'm going to be on Delta. I'm going to Boston now for June 14th. I just booked it. We're good. Lakers creeping up on the Rockets for that number 3 seed. And don't forget, they're going to play the Houston Rockets 2 games in a row next week. And I want to say it's Monday and Wednesday, both in Houston. So that will probably determine, unless they split, probably determine who's going to end up with a higher seed between those two. I know there's still a lot of basketball left, but obviously if the Rockets won both of those games, they gained 2 games in the standings, and they get the tiebreaker, it's going to be tough to pass them. Luka owns Ant. Okay. Honestly, feels like LeBron will up his defensive game come the playoffs. Okay, a couple things there on LeBron. We'll definitely hit on LeBron later today. Haters can't say we're not beating contenders anymore. We beat the Knicks and the Wolves. Hey, you could put me in that category. I mean, I'm the one that has also said, well, how are we going to take this team seriously if they can't beat a good team? They shut up a lot of people, and they also shut me up. But the only way you're going to, obviously change the narrative of something is if you actually show that you do something different. Lakers have done that the last couple of games. I think that's a perfect transition for us to get into. And I'll come back. I know I got some supers here and everything else, so we'll spend time on all that. But let's just kind of get started here with the show, and then as the show flows, we'll get into some of these other topics. Before we talk the LeBron, 10 to all that stuff, we'll put that to the side because, again, I'm trying to find solutions to that. I don't really, and maybe there isn't a solution, but more importantly right now, more topical right now, is another impressive win for the Lakers. So let me kind of go through a few things to point out from yesterday. LeBron doesn't play. Maxi Kleber doesn't play. Jackson Hayes doesn't play. You're missing 3. Certainly Jackson Hayes has been a nice player for the Lakers. He comes off the bench. He's pure energy. A lot of Laker fans don't really have anything too negative to say about Jackson Hayes, other than when he took out the Washington Wizards mascot. That'll be the only thing that I'm going to come after, is when he went after the Washington Wizards mascot. No LeBron, obviously dealing with hip, foot, a few different things. And then Maxi Kleber had a back strain. So those 3 guys don't play. Lakers start the game missing their first 8 shots and were 0 of 15 from the 3-point line at one point in the first half. So if I'd have told you that those 3 players aren't playing, you're playing a good Minnesota Timberwolves team that top 4, top 5 in the Western Conference, and you started the game where you can't hit a shot if your life depended on it, I'm like, yeah, they're down 18. That wasn't the case for the Lakers. They hung around, had a small lead at the end of the first quarter, at the end of the first half, and then absolutely took over in that third quarter, and really impressive win for the Lakers. There is something, and I started the postgame show talking about this yesterday as well. What gives me some hope for the Lakers that, hey, maybe they can be a little bit more impressive the rest of the way. Maybe they can be a little bit of a headache come the playoffs and come the postseason. Maybe they can win a round in the playoffs, and then, obviously whatever else they're able to do after that, and they would be taking on some really tough teams in either the Oklahoma City Thunder or the San Antonio Spurs. What gives me a little bit of, okay, hey, maybe this can be interesting. Lakers actually played some defense. Lakers actually, these last couple of games, have been phenomenal on the defensive side of the ball. So I got a stat here that I'll share with everybody, and this is not that much different than the Knicks game. I think the Knicks were held 20 points under their season average. All right, maybe the Knicks just had a really bad game. Maybe they went out on Saturday night. Maybe, the Lakers had nothing to do with it. No, Lakers actually were phenomenal on defense when they took on the Knicks on Sunday. Lakers were the aggressors. Lakers were actually the bullies in that game. It's like, okay, hey, maybe it's just one game. All right, here's a stat from yesterday's game. The Wolves average 118 points per game, about 118 and a half. Heading into the game, we're held to 106. Lakers outscored them in the third quarter 39-23. Yes, Ant had an awful game. Yes, Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo, all of these guys were awful yesterday. Lakers had something to do with it. Their defense has just been unbelievable these last two games. And the only way that you're going to have a chance to really, make any noise or potentially be a threat in the postseason or have the media and the fans take you seriously is if you can get stops. These last couple games have been really, really impressive from that perspective. So back-to-back games for the Lakers holding their opponents under their season scoring average, which is obviously very, very impressive. And all of a sudden now we're looking at the Lakers and we're saying to ourselves that that's two really impressive wins in a row. Lakers have looked good. What's been missing in their resume, which is why nobody cares that they're 10 games over 500 or 12 games over 500 or whatever the case is. They're now 15 games over 500. But the hole in their resume was you can't beat good teams. Today they beat a really good team, or last night they beat a really good team in the Minnesota Timberwolves. Again, good, not great. There are good teams in the East. There are good teams in the West. And then there are a very, very small handful of great teams out there. Minnesota's not a great team. Knicks are not a great team. They're good teams on both conferences. I would say Boston is probably leans towards great to me. San Antonio and the Oklahoma City Thunder might be the only three technically, quote, great teams in the league. Lakers handle two teams that are really good, and I think it's their most impressive back-to-back wins they've had in the season, and it's not even close. So as we sit here and we're kind of approaching midway March, and we're also approaching, for those who don't know this, when you get to tomorrow, there's 30 days left in the season. We'll be down to the final month before the playoffs start. So the playoffs technically would start, let's say, a month from this upcoming weekend. Lakers playing some of their best basketball right now, and a lot of it has to do with that. I want to give some love to Deandre Ayton here for a quick second. Let's first do this, and I think there's two ways to take this DeAndre Ayton conversation, and we'll get in. I know there's some other topics that we'll get into, but let me get into the Bam stuff and the making the trio work. Let me do that in just a second. I just want to get one piece out on the DeAndre Ayton front, and then we'll keep things moving. So here's what I'll say about Ayton. Actually, I won't even say it. I want to play a clip for everybody. This is Luka talking about DeAndre Ayton from last night. So why have any attention towards DeAndre Ayton from last night? Because he looked like a different person yesterday, specifically in that first half. And JJ had a lot of nice things to say. There were a lot of people in the post-game show that was complimenting what he was able to do last night. So obviously there's a lot of reasons why you would compliment DeAndre Ayton from last night's game, but probably one of the his peers, the best player on the Lakers. Take a listen to what Luka had to say in regards to Ayton's night last night.
Yeah, it's very big of him. I think it was very locked in today. Like I said, I think he was huge for us today. So we need to encourage him to keep doing like that. And when he plays like that, it helps us win.
Something he said there I think is interesting. He said this: we need to encourage him. I'm prepping for the show, and I think you guys have a good idea now. I got a producer in the background. Eric's in the background. So him and I were having kind of conversation. Something Eric brings up while we're having the conversation. Like, why does, if you listen to Luka right there, saying we got to encourage him. And Eric says something to the effect like, why do the Lakers have to encourage him? Like, why can't he just do that on himself? And by the way, I think a lot of Laker fans probably feel that way about DeAndre Ayton. And there's a lot of this is what makes a lot of people frustrated about DeAndre Ayton. What makes them frustrated? I know that Jackson Hayes has a ceiling. I know Maxi Kleber, you're only going to get so much out of. I know Jake LaRavia, you're only going to get so much. We know what these guys. Jared Vanderbilt has a ceiling. We know what a lot of these guys. We know what their ceiling is. What makes Ayton so frustrating is we don't really know what his ceiling is because when you're 26 years old, you're a 7-foot center, you got great size in the NBA, you actually have a skill set that a lot of big men don't have in today's NBA where you're just pure athlete. No, he's a basketball player. I don't know what Ayton's ceiling is. But when I see Ayton have a game like this where he's got 14 and he's got 12, two things come to mind. One thing is like, wow, phenomenal. He helped the Lakers win yesterday. He was great. His plus minus was phenomenal. You felt his impact. You got so much size from the Minnesota Timberwolves, which is why the Lakers were out in 5 games yesterday or last year in the postseason. Ayton is like that. That's a perfect solution. But part of the reason why people get so frustrated with DeAndre Ayton, it's like, brother, you didn't even do anything special yesterday. You just are that natural and that good of a basketball player that if you have a motor and an energy on a night in, night out basis, don't you wake up and just have 14 and 12 a game? I mean, should it be impressive that Ayton had 14 and 12 yesterday? Or is it only impressive because we just don't know which version of DeAndre Ayton is going to show up every night? Nobody's saying he's not capable of doing that. But the question is will he do that? And listening to Luka Doncic say, we got to encourage him. Maybe some people don't like that, but not every personality is created the same. Not every person is created the same. I'm sure there's a reason why Luka Doncic said we got to encourage him. He needs that encouragement. Whatever the hell DeAndre Ayton needs, and I'm sure there are times I've listened to JJ Redick and, where the conversation of Ayton comes up, and it might be a little bit frustrating from, even in the last game, leading into the game against the Knicks, there was something there that JJ Redick was basically saying, like, at the end of the day, we can only do so much. It's up to the player after that. And that's where I think DeAndre Ayton is in his career. That's where I think he is probably with the Lakers and Laker fans and everything else. Maybe he needs positive reinforcement. Maybe he needs to be told just how great he is. Maybe, him asking for the ball is a way for him to say, well, show me some value. Show me that you value me so then I could show you that I can do different things for the team. Whatever the case is, I don't know how every player is wired, but Ayton was obviously such a key player last night. And I'll still say this. I still think Ayton can change his narrative the rest of the way, just like the Lakers are trying to change their narrative against teams over 500, just like Austin Reaves is trying to go back to his earlier narrative in the season. He's still got some time to be impactful for the Lakers, and this is the most important stretch of the season anyway. So whether he did it now or he did it in November, I'd rather have him do it now. DeAndre Ayton obviously very impactful from yesterday's game, and that 14 and 12 is a perfect example of why sometimes it's very frustrating to watch DeAndre Ayton. I don't think he did anything special yesterday. I think he was moving guys around. I think he was using his weight, using his size, and that's something you could do on a night in, night out basis because you're DeAndre Ayton, you're a 7-footer, and you clearly got just this unbelievable skill set. So we'll see what happens the rest of the way with DeAndre Ayton, but clearly a really, really nice game for him yesterday and a big part to do with the Lakers win. All right, I know there's a lot of comments waiting to go, and we got a lot of different topics that I want to hit on, so we're going to do so. Before I do so, we do have partners that are part of this show and this channel that I want to give some love to. Shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. WallaceWins.com/Sliwa. Brad Wallace, I gotta give this guy a little bit of credit here. Guy was waiting for my new logo. He's like, Slee, I want to give away shirts on your show. I'm like, all right, I got you, Brad. So I got him the new logo. So we'll be working on something together. Obviously, a true partner of the channel. I just want people to know if you're looking for an injury attorney, if you're in the state of California, you got somebody that can help you, and you got somebody that cares about the channel, about the success of the channel. And I hope you guys, again, only if you're in a position or a spot where you need him, that you give him an opportunity to earn your business. WallaceWins.com/Sliwa is the website. WallaceWins.com/Sliwa. If you do go to that website, he can help you. And again, it's a free consultation. He can represent anybody in the state of California, serious injury, wrongful death case, whether it's you, a family member, or a friend. Point them to Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. They'll find a way to help you. Shout out to Brad Wallace. Shout out to the Wallace Firm, who, by the way, what was this? This was, I think, when I was there at his office. He's the one that was calling out, hey, listen, we need Ayton to have good games. And if Ayton could have good games, then potentially for the Lakers, maybe you're not getting him. Maybe it's that player option isn't a big deal next year. I mean, they need him to be good because if they're going to go on any playoff run, obviously they're going to need him anyways. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments. Where is everybody? Where is everybody? What are people saying? Who are they yelling at? I always, try to look at the comments, and sometimes there's just fights going on, bar fights, and I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to go out the back door. Can't believe how shameless Bam was last night. Let me save the Bam stuff. Let me save that. I could make some arguments both ways if I'm being honest with you, but there's a reason why people feel a certain way, and I get why they feel this way. I'll come back to this comment a little bit later. I know a lot of people want to hit on Bam, and we'll hit on it. Don't worry. I'm not a LeBron fan, but stop blaming him. If you see the last two games, Knicks and Minnesota had awful games. Please check the three-point percentage shots. They were missing open three shots. Honest, give your take. Okay. Well, this is a good transition to our next topic. Lakers now are 10-2 without LeBron, and when Luka and AR play. 10-2. All right, let's have the conversation. If there's ever a time to have the conversation, we're going to have it right now. Let me just first say this. Clearly, when it's Luka and AR and the rest of the guys are role players, it's safe to say everybody knows their role. That's safe to say. I think, can we all agree on that? That part is safe to say. Clearly, when it's Luka and AR is a much more aggressive player and is a much better version of himself when it's those two players playing together. Again, 10-2 it's a good enough sample size. That's about, it's over 10% of the season, maybe 12%, 15, not exact, 12.5%, something along those lines of the season where those two have played together without LeBron James, and they're 10-2. Clearly, Austin Reaves knows I don't have to take a back seat to two other guys. Clearly, Austin Reaves has the green light to be the best version of himself, and I don't have to tell you guys how important Austin Reaves is to the Lakers. Here's, I think, the better question. Instead of asking the question, are the Lakers better without LeBron James? Or asking the question of, or not even a question of a statement, you got to get LeBron out of there ASAP, or cut LeBron. I don't know what people are saying. I mean, I'm sure everybody has a different opinion. Here's, I think, the better question in regards to this conversation. And thank you very much for the 10 spot, brother. That's very, very kind of you to do that. So thank you very much for doing that. Here's the better question. How do they make LeBron, Luka, and Reaves work? Because I don't need to tell anybody on here, they're going to have these three players the rest of the season. And yes, I do think they're better off having LeBron than not having LeBron. So the question comes down to, how can you make it work? That's the question. The question is not get rid of LeBron. All right, you're probably not going to have LeBron after this season anyway, so that's naturally going to happen. I mean, before the season even started, we were already having that conversation about LeBron James, and the conversation was he was going to opt into his contract, which he did. He didn't get an extension. There's a lot of signs pointing that probably this is going to be LeBron's last season with the Lakers. There's a lot of signs pointing that Luka and AR are going to be the two guys that kind of lead the franchise moving forward. And listen, you got to have a pretty damn good complement of players after that because they're not perfect. And those two guys, to be their best, it's going to be on the offensive side. So you got to find other players that work as well. Here's what's happened when LeBron is gone. You want to point out other teams' shooting percentage? That's fine. Yes, the Knicks have been bad, and so have the Minnesota Timberwolves in these last two games. Lakers are playing good defense. There is better defense out there right now. I mean, look at how bad Anthony Edwards was. He was 1 of 10 from the three-point line yesterday. Every shot Anthony Edwards took, there was a hand in his face. They were all over Ant. So as we sit here today, let's not pretend that the team has not played two really good games, and both of those games were without LeBron James. But I'm going to go back to my original question. How do they make it work? I'll throw some ideas out there. Okay? The pecking order needs to be, because this is what was happening before, and I had mentioned this a couple different times, that right now it was Austin Reaves was the player that had to adjust his game the most of the three. Luka doesn't adjust jack-ish because he's Luka Doncic and he's a top 3 player or a top 5 player in the NBA. And actually, I think Luka needs to adjust his game a little bit as well. I think there are times where he can allow Austin Reaves or encourage Austin Reaves, kind of almost like he said to Deandre Ayton, to say, hey, go do your thing. But, that's what, if you're a top 5 player in the league, there's a lot of times the only person you have confidence in is yourself. Luka's not going to adjust his game. So what it's going to come down to, two different players that are going to need to figure this out. And the question is going to come down to, what should LeBron's role be when those 3 players are in a game together? What should Austin Reaves' role be when he's in a game with obviously these 2 other players as well? It seems to me what the solution should be is, if you have a pecking order, let's adjust that pecking order here for a second. Luka eats first, Austin Reaves eats second, and LeBron James, because he's got the ability to kind of play and put on all these different hats, should be the one that eats third. Is that a good solution there? Is that a kind of a safe way to kind of figure this thing out? Maybe LeBron, you stagger him. Maybe it's LeBron. Again, I don't think LeBron's coming off the bench. I heard yesterday now it's Robert Horry and James Worthy that are both saying maybe Austin Reaves should be the guy coming off the bench and let him kind of run an offense on his own. I've been a proponent of that here for the last couple of weeks, so we'll see if that eventually happens. But you don't have to start or come off the bench and still kind of have a little bit of a pecking order. And one of the things I will compliment LeBron, and if you can't compliment LeBron on this, then I don't know what to tell you. LeBron can put on different hats. Luka can't. Austin Reaves can't. What the reason why LeBron will go down as one of the greatest players in NBA history, what do you need me to do? You want me to run point? You want me to be a center? You want me to be a power forward? You want me to be a wing? You want me in the corner? You want me on the ball? LeBron could do everything. That's what he's done his entire career. But I think if we're trying to figure out how to make LeBron, Luka, and Reaves work, you got to change up these recipes a little bit. You can still use all 3 recipes, but you got to use them at a different time. And when you are using them, instead of putting so much pepper and it's overwhelming everything, a little bit less pepper. And I think right now, there is a solution to making these three work. And part of that solution, from my perspective, is how you use them and when you use them. Let's not pretend the Lakers haven't been really good these last 2 games. And they were really good without LeBron James. So it's a very fair conversation to have about, hey, are they better off using LeBron differently? Are they better off as Reaves as the second best, most important player on this team on the offensive side of the ball? There's a lot of reasons why I think the Lakers won these last couple of games. And I think it's a fair conversation to have in regards to LeBron, and I think it's a fair conversation to have in regards to what the Lakers do from here. But they got some figuring out of how to use LeBron, Austin Reaves, and Luka Doncic together. By the way, I'm not even talking about when they're on the court together, because I think they'll end games together. And this is also up to JJ Redick. A lot of this is also going to fall on JJ. If LeBron's not having a great game and he's struggling and he's hurting you when he's on the floor, sub him out. It's okay. I mean, if the idea and the concept here is to win, there's no LeBron's career isn't going to change if he's playing a few less minutes because the Lakers are trying to win some games and he's 41 years old. But what LeBron can do, Luka can't do, neither can AR. Luka and AR do not have it in their arsenal to wear all these different hats. If I'm Austin Reaves, I'm the best version of myself. I need the ball in my hands. I need to get downhill. I need to start cooking. I need to facilitate. I need to hit threes. I need to get to the basket. I got to hit free throws. That's Austin Reaves in a nutshell. If you want the best version of Austin Reaves, it's got to be that. Luka, obviously his own style. I got to take 25 shots a game. I got to have the ball in my hand 16 seconds of the shot clock, 18 seconds of the shot clock, whatever it is. That's what makes those two players great. LeBron can put on different hats. I think he's going to have to put on a different hat for the Lakers. So for me, there is a way to make LeBron, Luka, and Reaves work. But the current structure and how it's been in the past, that's going to have to change if the Lakers are going to get the most out of this roster that they possibly can. That's part of my opinion there in regards to those three players. There was a good article. Let me find this article real quick. There was a good article in the California Post. I think you guys know this. They have the New York Post. They started a California Post. They grabbed a couple of people. Kobe Price, who's been a guest of this show. Melissa Rowland, who's done a great job covering the Lakers and the NBA as well. She had an article this morning. And let me see if I can find this. Her article. And the article says, narrative that Lakers are better without LeBron James is bogus. And she goes into, look, these are his stats on the year. At 41 years old, he's still averaging 21 points a game, 7 assists, 5.6 rebounds, 50% from the field. She said that she kind of said something in reference to it could be a coaching problem. It's a buy-in problem. It's not a LeBron James problem. So she goes into her points of why she doesn't think the Lakers are better off without LeBron James. Maybe I'm a little bit more in the middle on this. I think they got to find a solution. And JJ Redick, that's going to be his responsibility to find a solution. And I'm not telling you it's going to be easy because it probably isn't. Trying to find a solution with a legend like LeBron James and, somebody that's going to have to swallow his pride in certain situations of a game. I think that probably is not the easiest thing to do. But let me throw this at you guys because I think this is really important to know. The Lakers are 18-3 when Austin Reaves scores at least 20 points. So why don't we do this? We know Austin Reaves has a capability to score 20 in his sleep. Find ways to make Austin Reaves the best version of himself, and maybe the Lakers become the best version of themselves. Like I said before, I got a compliment and all this with LeBron James. The compliment is he could put on different hats, and I don't think Luka and Austin Reaves can. I think they're one-trick ponies, and I think LeBron is, well, I've been doing this my entire career. I could play all 5 positions. I can be on the ball, off the ball, whatever the case is. Obviously, that's going to be important. The bigger question is going to be, how much does the Lakers' defense suffer when it's Luka, LeBron, and AR? And that's really the biggest issue. I think a lot of times we get stuck on the offensive side of the ball, but the defensive side, how great they've been these last couple of days, guys understand their role. And obviously without LeBron there or without Luka there, or without AR there, you have 3 guys that are not good on defense that are usually in the game at the same time. In the month of March, by the way, I'm going to point this out for Austin Reaves. Austin Reaves' scoring has only increased. Now, he's set a really low bar for himself, but you could see where it's heading. 12 points versus the Kings, 15 versus the Pelicans, 16 versus the Nuggets, 19 versus the Pacers. And these last couple of games are the only games, in my opinion, where it's been a closer version of Reaves. 25 points versus the Knicks, 31 points versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. And like I said, 18-3 when Austin Reaves scores at least 20 points. 18-3 when he scores at least 20 points, which is kind of shocking because, he should be doing that in his sleep based off of how good he's been for the Lakers. One quick quote here, and then I want to take a look at some of the comments here. James Worthy on Austin Reaves postgame. LeBron's out right now, but when they start the substitution back up again, this guy needs the ball in his hands a lot in order for him to be efficient and productive. Now, if he had the ball in his hands a lot and the Lakers were losing and he wasn't efficient nor productive, then that's a different conversation. I kept emphasizing it yesterday in the postgame show that one of my favorite features about Austin Reaves that does not get highlighted enough, we don't talk about it enough. One of my favorite features of Austin Reaves is this man's got the ability to go out there and create for others as well, get you 7, 6, 7, 8 assists a game. And that's when Reaves is going to be the best version of himself, is when that's happening. All right, let's take a look at some of these comments. By the way, I just want to throw this out there. Over 400 comments waiting. You guys are just freaking awesome. Awesome. Either awesome or you guys hate me, one of the two. For all I know, you guys could be cursing at me, and then I open up the chat, complimenting the chat. You can curse at me, don't worry. I appreciate you guys either way. All right, see what we have here. Let's see what we do in Denver. Listen, I agree with you. By the way, they got to blow out the Chicago Bulls coming up tomorrow. And then all of a sudden you set yourself up for another fun matchup on Saturday against the Denver Nuggets. And I will tell you that before they played the Knicks, there was a little bit of, well, let's see what they do against the Knicks. Okay, they won. Then it was, all right, yeah, maybe the Knicks didn't play all that good. Maybe, you just kind of caught lightning in a bottle. What are you going to do against Minnesota? All right, you won again. And it was another very convincing win. All right, what are you going to do against Denver coming up on Saturday? These are all fair conversations to have. I don't blame anybody that has some hesitation or anybody that's out there that's saying like, yeah, I got to see more. Of course, I don't blame anybody for having that. But they've had 2 tests in front of them. They went on that 3-game losing streak, and then they started beating bad teams, right? It was the Warriors. It was the Sacramento Kings. And then they lost to Denver, obviously, in Denver. We're in that game late, had some chances. Marcus Smart misses a couple of threes. Whatever the case is, they lost that game, but Denver's missing a lot of guys. They're answering the test right now. So I feel a lot more encouraged I do today than I did a week ago. Do the Lakers have a ceiling? Sure, they probably have a ceiling, but what you want to see, you actually want to see this team try to play some good basketball, be competitive, and have some type of momentum over the final month of the season. All right, appreciate you throwing that in there. Thank you for the super there. Let's see what we have here. Let's get a few more comments in here. Ayton had a big game. No need to rehash the negativity. No, I don't think it's trying to rehash negativity. I think it's talking about what Ayton is. And I think part of the reason that you have a frustration with Deandre Ayton is because you see like, damn, this guy's got a lot of upside. Damn, when this guy wants to go, he's a completely different player. I think that's a fair argument to make. And that's not negativity. It's factual. There's a difference between, I think sometimes we can have an opinion on things. Sometimes, maybe we're not as objective. We're looking at things through a Laker lens. It's factual on Deandre Ayton. He's underperforming. He's better than he puts out on a night in, night out basis. So I don't think that's negative. I just think it's a fact. All right, let's get some more here. Love the new logo. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Means a lot to me. Means a lot to me. Thank you, man. All right, let's see a couple more here. Damn, there are a lot of comments coming in. Can we pause the comments? Can everyone just relax for a quick second? Let's get one here from John Wayne. It's ironic that LeBron has won rings by Wade, Bosh, Love, and AD sacrificing their games, but at 41, he is too selfish to do what's best for the team. Well, let's say this. And by the way, I don't think, for me, my observation, I don't think LeBron and I think selfish on the basketball floor. On the basketball floor. I don't really look at his game. I look at him more of a Magic Johnson type of player. I look at him as one of those guys that I can dish out 10, 12 dimes a game. Can I take every shot? Sure. But LeBron does have that. Well, I'm going to make the right play at the end of the game, where other players, other greats are like, yeah, I'll go ahead and shoot with 2 guys on me because I'll shoot an 18-foot fadeaway because I have confidence in myself. I don't have confidence in my teammates. Here's the piece that I will tell you with LeBron. I do think he's got to sacrifice his game right now the rest of the way. And I wonder if he's observing something from the sideline. I mean, they kept showing LeBron yesterday on the broadcast on NBC. Was it Peacock yesterday? I think it was. They showed him 38 times. And every time he got up, he's excited about Reaves hitting a bucket, Lakers getting an and one, whatever the case is. He is going to have to sacrifice his game the rest of the way. Because if the Lakers will be the best version of themselves, I do think he has to take more of a back seat. And part of that is because they have a player in Austin Reaves that's a baller. But the only way Austin Reaves can be the best version of himself, and this is not just the responsibility of LeBron, it's also the responsibility of JJ Redick, and it's also the responsibility of Austin Reaves. You got to have a little bit more confidence in yourself. You got to know that your record is 18-3 when you score 20 plus points a game. You got to know that the Lakers actually need you to be on the ball a little bit more. It's a responsibility of all three of those individuals, including JJ. So it ain't just on LeBron. I mean, if LeBron's going to be given the green light because he's 41 years old, do whatever the hell you want, and it's not in the best interest of the team, your head coach has got to step in. Maybe, just maybe, there's a positive that comes out of LeBron sitting on the sidelines and watching everything unfold the way it's unfolded. We'll find out. See what happens in regards to that. Thank you for the super, by the way. DA's problem may be intellect. Didn't know word momentum. Okay, I don't know if I understand that. No, I don't agree with that at all. Guys, you don't need to be a high IQ basketball player to work hard. There's nothing in I can walk into a job where I know nothing about the industry. But if I work hard 6 months into it, I should be a much better employee. Effort. Desire. Those are things that a head coach can't put on a clipboard and say, you got to do this and then set a screen, all that. You can X's and O as much as you want. The problem with Deandre Ayton has not been his skill set. Nobody said he's not skilled enough. Nobody said that he can't hit a 15-footer. Nobody said that he can't roll to the rim and get lobs. Nobody said that he can't box out and get rebounds. He had 5 offensive rebounds. I think most of those all came in the first half yesterday. Nobody's questioning that Ayton. It's not a IQ thing. It's not he doesn't understand what's going on. It has nothing to do with that. It's his motor. He picks and chooses when he wants to come to work. All right, let's get some more in here. I love Braun, but he's going to look at the mirror. But he's going to look at the mirror and realize something. Braun on the bench, like, damn, but when I play, y'all become ace. LeBron won't sacrifice anything. There's a couple of ways. There's a couple of ways to try to make this thing work. There's a couple of ways to make this work. Let's say LeBron comes back against the Chicago Bulls tomorrow and Lakers win. Okay, it doesn't really mean anything. It's the Bulls. Say he comes back against Denver on Saturday. And let's say Lakers just don't look nearly as smooth. And they lose to the Nuggets. And Austin Reaves' numbers plummet again. We're going to have a little bit more of a sample size of what to talk about. And then the conversation's only going to get louder of, hey, is LeBron doing his job? Is Austin Reaves doing his job? Is JJ Redick doing his job? If they win on Saturday and LeBron's there, then this conversation will become less and less. But I think for me, the most important thing is, what does the conversation look like what does the game look like when those three are back playing together? Will it get louder? Will that conversation get louder of how you need to use LeBron and AR, or will it quiet down? And we'll have to wait and find out. Because right now, we're basically just working off of LeBron's missed a couple of games. Lakers have had 2 of their best games I've seen all season, and they've been without LeBron, and Luka and AR have been there. So I don't think that's just because of LeBron, but that is a storyline, and I don't think we should be ignoring that. All right, let's get one more super here, and then we'll keep kind of moving on. I know there's some other topics we want to get into, and I think today we'll spend a little time on Bam Adebayo as well. All right. I hope we get Braun back for the Nuggets game because AG going to be annoying to deal with. Aaron Gordon. We're talking about Aaron Gordon there. It's a big game against the Nuggets. And then, by the way, those games, who do they have after that? I want to see something here real quick. Because not only do they have the game against Denver coming up on Saturday, but over the next week here, they got 2 against Houston as well. I want to see who they have after Houston. Oh, that's right. They're going on that road trip. They got a tough road trip coming up. Houston, then Miami. Then you play an Orlando team that you already lost to at home. Then you play Detroit. You get a layup against Indiana, and then you got some easy ones. Indiana, Brooklyn, Washington, before you start playing some other really good teams from there. And we're getting a little bit closer here towards the end of the season now, end of the regular season. All right, good stuff. Phenomenal stuff right there. I appreciate everybody kind of chiming in with some of those comments. So thank you very much for doing that. Let's see what we got here. All right, I think I got to most of the supers there. So I appreciate you guys chiming in with all those supers. All right, let's give a shout out to another one of our partners here. Shout out to Harrah Resort SoCal. Shout out to Harrah. So I think I've mentioned this to you guys before, and I'll mention it again. There's a link in the description of this video. And if you copy that link and you obviously put it up, this is the bar that you're going to get. And it's basically direct to booking rooms. You guys can actually see what the rates are in the weekdays versus the weekends. The reason why the weekday rates are so low, again, you have to use a link in the description, is because they're giving 20% off weekday rates. There is some restrictions that apply, but specifically weekday rates, there's 20% off. So I'll just say this. If you're looking to kind of plan a trip, or you've been saying, you know what, I've heard Al talk about Harrah a ton, and you want kind of one of those staycations, you're trying to be smart with your money, consider Harrah Resort SoCal. They're between 1 and 2 hours away from wherever you are in Southern California. They're a phenomenal partner, part of my iHeart AM 570 partnership that I have going on. And I've had a relationship with Harrah for about 10 years. It's really, really a beautiful location, and you can get really, really impressive, aggressive rates because of the channel. So I encourage you, if you're looking for a staycation, Harrah Resort SoCal, give them a shot, give them an opportunity. Weather's going to get nicer and nicer. They got that lazy river, the swim up bar, Rita's Cantina that overlooks the pool, also overlooks the Palomar Mountains. It's close, and it's a drive away from wherever you are in Southern California. Hope you guys consider them a phenomenal resort. And we are going to be doing a live broadcast from them. I'm going to be doing a post-game show from there on April 2nd, the day the Lakers play the Oklahoma City Thunder at Oklahoma City. I'll keep you guys posted on more details there. We'll have special room rates. I'm going to try to get as many listeners to come out. Really, really want to get you guys involved in that. And I just want to do a post-game show where I can have some listeners out there that have been loyal to this channel and obviously appreciate the work. Shout out to Harrah Resort SoCal for being a part of the show, and certainly for being a part of the channel. Okay, so let's keep moving here. Bam Adebayo. Eric, tell me if you can put up this clip of Tim McMahon I sent, and I want to play a piece of this. So let me just give a little bit of background on what Bam Adebayo was able to do yesterday. Okay. Let's get a couple narratives. Let's get a couple storylines out of the way as we get ready to talk about Bam Adebayo. So what Bam Adebayo do yesterday? He scored 83 points. It's the second highest total in the history of the NBA. Kobe is at 81. Bam Adebayo is at 83. And Wilt Chamberlain is at 100 points. Unbelievable. You got a player in the NBA who, by the way, is not a guard, who's going to have the ball in his hands, and is also not Wilt Chamberlain, clearly. It's not, Luka. It's not Devin Booker. It's not, think of all Anthony Edwards, all these great guards that typically if a guy's going to drop 70-plus points, I'm just going to assume it's a guard. No, it's Bam freaking Adebayo. All right. I'm at the gym yesterday. I'm working out and I'm making noises left and right because you guys know if I'm going to go out, I put up big weight, right? And I got people all over the gym looking at me like, "Oh my God, look at this guy." Probably not how it went down. I'm at the gym. I got a cousin that texts me. He's like, "Bam Adebayo has 70 points or 71, whatever the case is." I'm like, "What?" And I kind of just assumed that was the final score. And I still didn't understand how the hell Bam Adebayo had 70. Then he's like, "Bro, he's got 74." Then all of a sudden he kind of starts putting in, "I really hope he doesn't pass Kobe." And again, I don't know the context here. So I don't know what's happening during the game to figure out, but he's kind of starting to tell me, he's like, "This is annoying." I'm like, "What's annoying? You got a guy that is flirting with getting 80 points. Don't be annoyed just because Kobe had 81. If Bam put up 80 something points, like this is an incredible, it's an incredible feat." 77, 81, or at 77. Now I'm looking at my phone. I'm looking at the box score. I'm like, how much time is left? Like there's still time left. How is he getting more points? How's he getting buckets? Everything else. I didn't know all the details. All right. So he gets to 83 points. Obviously, we find that out. He breaks the record. A lot of the conversation last night on X, a lot of the conversation last night on, obviously on predominantly on X, but you're seeing people kind of give their opinion on what happened. A lot of people were upset with how Bam Adebayo got 83 points. I want to get a piece out of this here real quick before we get to him breaking Kobe's record. Okay. Let's remember he had 30 points at the end of the first quarter. Let's remember he had 62 points through 3 quarters. That's unfreaking believable. Okay. Let's not completely take away what Bam Adebayo did yesterday. Bam Adebayo did something special yesterday. And I don't care if he ended up at 62 points through 3 quarters, or if he ended up with 70 points, or if he ended up with 75 points. What Bam Adebayo did yesterday is pretty unbelievable. Now we can get into why everybody's, upset or angry, or he obviously passes Kobe with the 83 points. Here's the only thing that I would ask for if you're going to have one of the most unique records, the second most scoring point total in the history of the NBA. Don't make it gimmicky. And my issue with getting to 83 is they had to get really gimmicky. I was looking this up before the show today because I was trying to think to myself, a lot of people are saying, Al, they were down, 30. They're playing the Washington Wizards. Why is he still in the game? Well, obviously he's still in the game because he's trying to break the record. So I was trying to look. I'm like, well, what was the score when the Lakers took on the Toronto Raptors and Kobe got his 81? So Lakers won that game 122-104. They won by 18. But going into the fourth quarter, Lakers were only up 6. And if you guys actually remember that game, they're down big at the half. So a lot of the scoring that Kobe had was at a point of the game where the Lakers actually needed the scoring to just win that game. But going into the fourth quarter was just a 6-point game. So clearly the game was kind of still up in the air. And I'm sure, obviously they were going to keep Kobe in to get 80, which he eventually did. You just don't want gimmicks. And the problem is there's too many people talking about Bam Adebayo this morning saying that was gimmicky. What do you mean they're missing free throws on purpose so they can get extra possessions, and they're fouling the Washington Wizards, and Washington's now trying to put 3 guys on him? What do you mean he took 43 effing free throws in a game? His fourth quarter stats were awful. I think he was 1 of 6, missed all his threes, but he took 15 or 16 free throws, 14 to 16 from the line. I want to make sure that I say Bam Adebayo accomplished something that is unbelievable yesterday. The problem with getting to 83 is it became very gimmicky. And what I think a lot of people will remember, they're not going to remember. They're going to remember, obviously, Bam Adebayo got to 83, but there's going to be a piece of that remembering where they're like, yeah, but do you remember how he got there? So there was some gimmickiness in that game yesterday that got him to 83. That part is a little bit like, I don't know about that. I think the fact, too, that he passed Kobe puts a lot of people in a certain position as well, frustrates people from that perspective. Take a listen. Here's Tim McMahon from ESPN giving a little bit of his thought on what happened yesterday.
You know, he's got a chance to chase some history, but you're up 20-something, intentionally fouling to extend the game with minutes left. You are he's jacking up threes while being triple teamed. I mean, it honestly was just awful, hideous, disgusting basketball down the stretch that I admit I was cracking up laughing while watching, but I never, ever, 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 ever want to hear about heat culture and professionalism and all that crap again, because that was the most blatant stat chasing I've ever seen. That honestly is the worst stat chasing since Ricky Davis tried to get a rebound on the wrong basket to get a triple-double. But the difference is this was minutes and minutes and minutes and extend the game stat chasing. So it was embarrassing for the Lizards, egregious for the Heat. But hey, you got your 83. I enjoyed the ethical 39 by Wemby more than I enjoyed the egregious 83. But I'm old. I'm grumpy. I admit it.
All right, that's Tim McMahon right there. And I think listen, I'm going to show you guys here. I'm going to show you guys just how polarizing of a topic this is. Okay. And I try to be, I think you guys know me good enough here. I'm trying to be objective, trying to give you my opinion. I don't need some crazy response of, I don't need any of that. I'm just going to give you my thoughts, my opinion. But look how polarizing the topic is. I'll read this one. Sorry, hating on this one. I didn't see it, but the refs gifted Bam 83 with those free throws. Kobe saw the best game in NBA history, even over Wilt. We didn't see it. It doesn't count. All right, I'm just using that as an example. Bam took stat padding to another level. Okay. Now let me show you a couple other ones. While these Laker Kobe fans are insane for real, so what the man had 43 free throws, all kind of points count. I don't think people are questioning whether the points count or not. I think what people are questioning is you want to kind of earn it in a natural flow of the game. If you're going to break some type of a record or you're going to have whatever it is, like he was saying about Ricky Davis wanted to get a triple-double, so he took a shot on his own side of the ball to get that triple-double. I think what you want to try to do, and I think the thing that annoyed people is all of a sudden you just stopped playing the game of basketball. And in order to get that record, you had to do things that was outside of the natural flow of a game in order for that to happen. I'm not to say people don't stat pad. I'm not telling you that people don't chase stats. That happens all the time. I mean, let's not pretend here. I think the thing that sucks about this is Bam Adebayo had 30 in the first quarter. He had 62 through the end of three quarters. And frankly, if he just had a decent shooting fourth quarter, he would have breezed past 80, and maybe this is going to be less of a conversation. But how he had to get there, I got no problem telling people that was gimmicky. It was gimmicky. There's no other way to put it. It was wildly gimmicky. Or as some would say, it was a clown show. Also speaks of how bad the Wizards defense is. I thought he called them the Lizards. And I'm like, you know what? That's not a bad NBA name. It's a new franchise that's starting. All right. So at least we got a chance to kind of speak on that. I think I will say this. I will say that, the one thing that I will mention, by the way, let's get one of these in here. I'm going to try to encourage people, and I don't do as good of a job of it, but I'm a fan of obviously trying to use X and incorporate X into the show. So Econ is commenting on X. Thank you for coming on here, buddy. Al, I'm a big Kobe fan, but this was epic from the get-go. 32 points in the first quarter versus 14 for Kobe. I mean, listen, you can't, no one could knock what he did yesterday. If he ended up with 72 points and there wasn't any of this gimmicky stuff at the end, it's an iconic performance, just an absolutely iconic performance But how he got to 83 was gimmicky. It was. That's not hating. It was. So it is what it is. Bam Adebayo broke the record. He's second now, all-time leading or all-time second all-time points in a game comes from Bam Adebayo dropping 83 points. But I think when people look back on it 5 years from now, they're going to say, yeah, but there's a little something there that I think people will look back and say, yeah, but did you see kind of how he got, he did this, he did that. Maybe it doesn't matter. I mean, clearly I don't think Bam Adebayo and anybody else cares, but a lot of people, obviously feel a certain way about it. The Raptors were a much better team than the Wizards extending game. Listen, guys, I'm not trying to, I know people want to make this about Kobe versus Bam. It's because Kobe was 80 or had 81 and he passed Kobe Bryant is why Kobe's in the mix in this conversation. I don't even have to make it about Kobe. I'm just saying how he got there. And if Kobe was trying to get to 80 and all of a sudden the Lakers are fouling this and they're extending possessions, they're doing all these gimmicky stuff, then it would have been fair to have the same conversation with Kobe on that front as well. So I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to bring up Kobe the entire time because it's just the fact that he passed Kobe. That has more to do with it. All right, let's see what we have here. Let's see if there's anything else here. Kobe fans punching in the air. That's pretty funny, actually. By the way, you might be right on this too. Wilt Chamberlain to get to 100. I'm pretty sure there was a point where Wilt Chamberlain was doing absolutely everything that he could to get to 100. So maybe there is go YouTube Wilt Chamberlain's game. I don't have it. If you have it, send it to me. I'll watch the film tonight. Lakers don't have a game tonight, so I could watch Wilt Chamberlain's game, and I'll come back and report tomorrow and let you know if it was gimmicky or not. Okay, those were a lot of, obviously, our main topics for the show today. Really good comments today as well. Phenomenal comments. My favorite comments were the supers. I don't know why. It's not because they bought my love. No, I appreciate all the comments today. Thank you for everybody kind of chiming in here. All right, a couple things on the NBA front, and then we're going to call it a day. Show kind of blew by, to be honest with you. A couple stories around the NBA. The 3 through 6 now in the Western Conference is now separated by a game and a half. You know who's also not going anywhere? Phoenix is hanging around. Lakers have 25 losses. The Suns still only have 27 losses. They've won 3 games in a row. They're starting to get healthy again. Devin Booker is back. So the Suns also look like a team that's, they're going to stay in the mix here. I mean, hell, if the Lakers, if Phoenix keeps winning and Lakers beat Denver on Saturday, Denver could be in the playing game. So it just kind of shows you, obviously, how close everybody is. Let me take a look at something here real quick. Scores in the NBA. Want to see who's playing tonight. Any good games? Cavs and the Magic, decent game. Rockets and the Nuggets. So one of those two teams are going to take an L. Either one is a plus for the Lakers. Timberwolves got a second of a back-to-back against the Clippers. Tonight, I'm a Clipper fan. Let's go, Clips. Clips Nation. Clips Nation. By the way, this is similar to what happened with the Knicks. Knicks had a game on Sunday against the Lakers. On Monday, they had a second of a back-to-back to the Clippers, and the Clippers handled business. Let's go, Clips. What are you going to do? It helps the Lakers. I don't know what you guys want me to do. They need help tonight. Clippers are my favorite team this evening. Okay, a couple other things. Steve Kerr advocates a 72-game season. I know this will not be a popular opinion in the league office, but I will continue to say it because it's obvious we need to play fewer games. We need to take 10 games off the schedule. I think it would be more competitive and a healthier league if we played fewer games. Let me give everyone a quick idea how the NBA works, okay? The NBA has shown that they will do nothing to take away revenue from the league. And if every other commercial is a betting site, they'll take it. And if they need to play 82 games and they don't care what it's doing to the league and they don't care that players load manage all this stuff, they'll take it. They will do anything for $1. What sucks about it too is they got so much revenue coming in. You wish they weren't as greedy as they are, but trying to tell a corporation not to be greedy, yeah, I don't think that really works. That's not something that I think is going to work. So Steve Kerr can advocate for 72 games. I don't disagree with him. I think baseball should have a lot less games than 162. But anytime you kind of touch a little bit of the money, all of a sudden, the owners in the league, I didn't get that email. Yeah, all of a sudden they speak a different language. Spurs yesterday beat the Celtics 125-116. Victor Wembanyama, 39 points, 11 rebounds. Jaylen Brown ejected in the second quarter. That actually sucked, if I'm being honest with you, because I think Boston's the team to beat in the Eastern Conference. So it's disappointing to see Jaylen Brown not get a chance to play in that game against the San Antonio Spurs. Gets thrown out in the second quarter. Got fouled, but his reaction to getting thrown out, he hurt his team yesterday. How about this stat? Spurs are 8-1 versus top 3. Spurs are 8-1 versus 3 out of the top 4 records in the NBA. So against the Thunder, the Pistons, and the Celtics, the San Antonio Spurs are sitting at 8-1. Pretty damn impressive. Very impressive what the San Antonio Spurs are doing. And they're certainly making it happen. So give them a ton of credit. Look, who knows? The San Antonio Spurs were not supposed to be good this early, but they are definitely make it happen. Complete Bam circus. 83 is 83. Al, I'm a big fan of Kobe, but this was epic. 30. Oh, that's right. Read that one a little bit earlier. That obviously was on X. What else we got here? There was one, I think somebody was saying, oh, yeah, Robert Ory. Yeah, he was not a fan of that performance yesterday from Bam Adebayo. Hey, that's the beauty. Everyone can have their own opinion. And as long as they're being completely honest with themselves, I think it's a fair opinion to have. I still think it's wildly impressive. Bam Adebayo had a game where he had a chance to get 83. That's unbelievable. But unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of people that remember that game because they're going to think it was a little bit gimmicky. All right, my people, I appreciate you guys. Got to give you guys a heads up. Tomorrow, show starts at 8 a.m. Dave McMenamin's going to join the show tomorrow. So Dave McMenamin from ESPN, appreciate his time, appreciate his work, appreciate everything he's done, obviously, over the years. But my relationship with Dave, very appreciative that he comes on the show. And tomorrow we'll have Dave McMenamin on. That's the plan for right now. 8:15, 8:30. I can't remember what I told him, but he'll be on the show tomorrow. And then Lakers got a game tomorrow night coming up against who they play tomorrow? Chicago Bulls. Josh Giddey and the Chicago Bulls. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I'm out for the day. That's it. I'm done. I'm chilling. 8 p.m. tip-offs. Thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you to everybody that chimed in on the comments. Shout out to our partners as well. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Wednesday. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.